Hello and welcome everybody to the first episode of Season 2 of the Scrapyard. I'm your host Nathan Mulepolder, joined here by Taylor.
Hey there.
And Xavier.
The Golden State Warriors are the Season 1 Shanghai Dragons right now.
Oof.
Today we will be talking about the Overwatch League. Specifically, we're going to be talking about off-season stuff. And, 10% of this episode will be dedicated specifically to our Lord and Savior, Baby Yoda. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do that at Scrapyard Media on Twitter, Instagram, no Facebook, never Facebook, but definitely Instagram and Twitter. You can also play games with us on Xbox or Steam at Scrapyard Media. And finally, you can listen to us anywhere podcasts are available, all at Scrapyard Media.
I don't know about, anywhere. I feel like there's, at least a couple places where it'd be you can't get us. But those are, probably,
But those are the places you aren't listening right now, so
yeah,
fine.
Foreign podcast services or, really underground niche
Podcast apps.
Yeah.
Roll that intro.
Turn off the flash, you fucking moron!
Do you come from a land down under?
The Vancouver Titans signed who? Signed what? Signed Jehong and Fisher.
Yeah,
But they also got rid of Bumper and Tizzy.
they did do that.
What the hell is going on with that?
Yeah, this thing got everybody in the Overwatch community's panties in the biggest of bunches.
So I understand
Fuck yeah,
releasing
dude.
Tizzy. He didn't play much. He's still a good player, but I can understand them kind of being well, let's just throw him out there. But I really am kind of confused with Bumper, because that was kind of their face in whole. No one really thought of most of the other team, most of the rest of Vancouver Titans, but Bumper was their tank, only because a majority of last season was goats. So it's at the end, Haxel was a big player and etc., but Bumper was that, that's their main tank. He's the face. So it's really interesting that they're, getting rid of Bumper to get Jehong as another face.
See, I don't care about Bumper going away. Honestly, I think losing Tizzy is more important for a number of reasons. However, you drop Bumper because you're getting Fissure, who is better at everything Bumper does in every way. Bumper was never truly an MVP caliber player or the best player on the Vancouver Titans, but Fissure was an MVP caliber player in Season 1. He was basically the reason why the Gladiators even were able to sniff the playoffs. He is a genuinely incredible player who's kind of a moody baby sometimes, but he's a great player, and he's taken time off with his pseudo retirement, so now he should be refreshed, and he's gonna have the Bumper role of all these resources being pumped into him to allow him to shine. And losing Bumper, I feel doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because Fissure can do everything that Bumper does. But I think losing Tizzy is bad simply because it's the New York thing. What if Fissure gets sick? What if Fissure is having a moody day? Mm-hmm. And you need somebody to play backup? What if Fissure is just sucking it up the first two maps, and he's clearly not into the game, so it's all right, well, let's get Tizzy in there. But you can't do that now.
What you have Tizzy?
Yeah, you're gonna have Jehong run main tank? What are you really going to do about all this? So I think losing Tizzy as a safety blanket is the bigger issue than losing Bumper, because it's, yet again, the New York thing. You want to have backups.
You want to have as much as you can while you can have it.
Is a problem we've talked about a lot. You can't just have one dude.
Yeah, and we've said before that some of these teams had been really quiet for a long time, just us in passing, and now Vancouver coming out with these big bombshell drops is very, very Vancouver of them.
Yeah, and I understand why losing Bumper got fans in a mood, because he's a fan favorite, and he was the face of Runaway and then Vancouver Titans. Mm-hmm. So I understand the sentimentality of losing Bumper and kind of what it means, and you know, like the Overwatch is an anime sense. But in terms of just sheer like gameplay, like I don't think losing Bumper for Fissure is really a big issue. And honestly, I don't think Fissure's issues and all this hate he gets from fans is really justified, because a lot of it is, I feel like it's just fan speculation and rumors that have like run away from like the truth. And you know, suddenly Fissure is getting blamed for, you know, being a terrible teammate in Seoul, being a terrible teammate with the Gladiators, being this awful teammate on every, you know, all these other teams, and you know, being a toxic person in the room. But like, it's not really super confirmed that he's like that. So I think, yeah, leaking 222 was weird, but he's fine for that. Like, who cares? It's leaking 222. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, his time with the Gladiators, like, yet again, we don't really know the actual specifics about what happened. And then with Seoul, it just seems like he was just like, yo, I'm done with Overwatch. And Seoul's like, cool, you're done with Overwatch. And then they just kind of split ways amicably. But it was never like a burning bridges and like, fuck everybody, you know. Now he's ready to come back.
Fuck
like,
this shit.
I think one of the things that I'm worried about with the Titans, though, is it, like you said, they're doing the New York thing where they have, like, tank. They're really stacked up on supports right now. They have at least, like, 3. But it's like, Sominsu's their only flex player, and then they have the 2 DPS, 2 tanks. And that's asking a lot for Sominsu to just be like, hey, we need more DPS now. Hey, we need more tank now. Hey, we need more of this on one person. They should have, like you said, Tizzy to back up the tank line still. It's just keeping it still with such a low pool of people to pull from, especially when it's like now all home game and away games. That's going to be...
It's a dangerous move.
It's a dangerous move.
Yeah. And signing Jehong is another thing that got fans in a tizzy. Which I think is also stupid. I feel like the fan reaction to this entire Vancouver Titans thing is dumb. Like, some people are saying they're like the worst moves of the offseason. You know, signing Jehong. Well, like, you don't need Jehong. You have Twilight. Oh, this is so stupid. Why would you get Jehong?
You need Jehong so that you have something safe in the background.
Yeah, I think, like, you get Jehong because you can get like, I don't really buy the idea that you already have Twilight, who is, like, you know, top 5 in his role. So suddenly you don't need Jehong. I think if you have the opportunity to get a player like Jehong, you get him.
Yeah,
and
go back to our draft we did, like...
Yeah. And there comes a point where you just want talented people around.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Jehong isn't going to play every single map. But yet again, I think substitutes are going to be more important. And there were times, you know, this season where Twilight sat in flavor of Repel, and then it was like Repel and Slime.
Yeah.
And, you know, Vancouver shows a willingness to do that. So instead of Repel coming in, it's Jehong. And it really takes a lot of the load off Twilight of having to be the one person in every single map that plays at a consistently high level.
Exactly.
It really alleviates pressure, and he's their best player. So naturally you want to not stress him out as much. It's similar to having LeBron James and you bring in another star player, because it alleviates the load from LeBron and it allows everybody to excel.
And with the traveling and, again, the stress, if it was the only one, like, Twilight would get sick, like, constantly.
And it would be it'd burn him out really quick.
Yeah, and also, like, if you need Jehong to play tank, like an off-tank kind of, you know, weird deal like that, like, he can do it. So, you know, Jehong, I'm sure, is going to be flexible. And another thing is, you can't discount what veteran experience means, because the Vancouver Titans, and by an extension Runaway, don't necessarily have, like, this wonderful history of, like, being clutch. And it showed in Stage 4, and it showed in the finals, where they aren't necessarily the best at adapting. And I think when things snowball against them, they really snowball against them. The Valiant game, the Shock games, Washington, like, when things go bad, they go astronomically bad. And I think having a dude like Jehong, who
has the seniority, he has, like, a perfect mindset. He he's a very solid senior figure and a good voice of reason to keep them, like Moth, kind of keep them in check and be like, hey guys, I know that was rough, but hey, let's bring it back. Let's push through. Let's get through this.
Like Jehong's a dude that'll come in and have a short memory and like be like, well, who cares about the last 2 maps? Let's work on what we are building off now. And I think that's important to have that kind of figure that isn't a coach, because you're tuning your coach out anyway. And you know, that whole group has been together so long that I'm sure
introducing a fresh face will help.
Yeah, and Jehong's a great fresh face, and you know, your roster's already, like, you're already super dominant, so you know, you're fine. Your DPS line is still stacked. Your tanks are still fine. You have Fissure and Janu, like that's not going to be an issue. So why not bring in Jehong as just a, I don't know, like part of it's showing off, part of it's he's a great player.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason not to if you have the option.
Looking at this list I have of things staying updated with rosters, Philadelphia Fusion has like a stacked roster right now.
Yeah, we thinking they were gonna lose like EQO and Carpe and all them homies, but they kept everybody.
They have
they did.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DPS. That's a whole team of DPS. 1, 2, 3 tanks, 3 supports. Which, but in a DPS still 2-2-2 lock, I understand getting in 6 DPS, and DPS can be flexed onto a different role if you really need it. But a lot of it is, you know, people we expected to stay on from Philadelphia Fusion. Fury coming over from Spitfire. That's interesting.
Fury's the best off tank in the league. So.
Yeah, so that's a good choice. Funny Astro came from Atlanta Reign, but he wasn't doing much with the Atlanta Reign setup as it is, so it's a great pick.
So Philadelphia made a lot of moves, as you just said. Carpe, yet again, keeping Carpe and EQO, this duo that's together. And then, you know, the additions of Fury, who's better than Poco. Cool. I feel like that's, you know.
Poco is only good for his bombs, and that's, you know, when D.Va's not good in the meta, then you're not really solid on an Orisa or something like that. It's not good.
Yeah, but, you know, also getting Funny Astro and Alarm are 2 big things. Alarm is the, you know, he's like, with Sparkle as like the Wunderkind, who everybody thinks is going to be, you know, God tier next season. We'll see. But Alarm has a lot of hype. So that's also just a super good pickup. You lose Neptuno, which is depressing.
Yeah, he was a solid support from the beginning.
Yeah, but
he goes to a good home.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite.
He's going to a good home.
He is.
But, you know,
fucking adopted ass cat.
But they sparked this gigantic controversy with, yet again, I think it's just dumb, but maybe that's just me. So their only tank is Sato, who was not good last season, and they seem to be riding or dying with Sato, which, cool, like, stick with your homies. If you think Sato is better than what he's shown, why not ride with him instead of freaking out and signing somebody else? But with that extra roster spot, a lot of Philly fans and a lot of just humans were like, oh, you should get another main tank because Sato might be trash, so you should probably pick up another main tank. But instead, they sign a streamer, Chipsa, who has 0 professional experience, a Doomfist one trick, really, really good on the ladder, like, you know, an incredible ladder player, but has no real competitive experience like that. And they just signed him straight up as another DPS, which pissed off a lot of people. Yeah. You know, rightfully so. There are a lot of...
such a Philadelphia Fusion thing to do. Like, there's certain teams where you're like, when you hear them being like, oh, we signed a streamer that just happens to be really good at Overwatch, you're like, yeah, you look like that kind of team. You know? The Philadelphia Fusion has that era around them. Like,
yeah, and so, you know, it called a lot of, like, why would you sign this dude?
Yeah.
It's, you know, like, I am 37, but, like, 8 times crazier. Rest in peace, I am 37. It was a fun week. But, you know, it was, like, another thing where people were like, oh, he's passing over, you know, dudes like Kaiser and Visility and, you know, all these contenders players have been grinding so long, and you're just signing a streamer who has a name, and that kind of freaked a lot of people out because, you know, there's, like, this big discussion on, you know, meritocracy and, you know, you should pay your dues before you get in the league, and clearly Chipsa hasn't paid any dues in like the, you know, regular sense, but
Right.
he signed because he's a giant streamer and he sells shirts. Like, and he's a good enough player where he could probably like find some time. But like, you know, the biggest controversy was, you know, is it unfair?
Is it unfair?
Like, is it unfair? Is it like a disrespectful gesture towards all the players that are grinding at contenders that didn't get a look, but then Philly comes in and signs streamer dude?
I don't mean to be like that guy. I do agree with like it's an overreaction, but I feel like a lot of the people that are in the Overwatch League and like a lot of the fans don't remember that these guys like streamed, then got recruited, and like for like World Cups and contender series. It's not like they went out of their way to immediately be like. Some did. They were like, I'm gonna train. I'm gonna get on a contenders team. I'm gonna get on a like competitive team. Did it in college, some of them, but then there's others where it's like, yeah, I just streamed the game and was good. And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that going into the third year, that like some of these people were only known for being streamers. Like XQC still comes back and plays in the World Cup, and now all he does is stream. It's the same thing where it's like he's just good enough to be like, oh yeah, I haven't played this game in like forever. Let me load back on for like a month and be like back in shape. There's certain people that are just like that and they're really good, and why punish someone for being a really good on-stream player and not give them a shot in a professional setting?
Also, I feel like a lot of people miss that it wasn't just on Philly to sign these contenders players that aren't getting an opportunity. Like, it's not Philly's fault that nobody is signing Kaiser. Like, it's not Philly's fault.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of other teams that could use another main tank. Philly one of them. But it's not like, oh, since Philly signed Chipsa, they were considering signing Kaiser.
Right.
Chances are they weren't thinking of signing anybody from contenders. They have this extra roster spot. Your team is already good. You know, I don't think Sato was a bad player last season, but clearly Philly is dedicated to him. So, cool. But, you know, there's also trade pieces on this team.
Mm-hmm.
You still have Snillo on roster. You can trade Snillo. Like, there's ways you can open up a roster spot in order to sign another main tank if Sato starts to suck.
Mm-hmm.
But your DPS line, stacked. Your support line, stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Your off-tank position, stacked. Your main tank position is weak, but either you can fill out main tank or you can just sign another DPS and be like, cool, we have some security. And I don't think Snillo is going to be on this team for long. I could see Snillo being a trade piece to, like, you know, just a lower level team, like a LA Valiant.
Sure.
Like, you trade Snillo to LA Valiant, and then you have that freed up roster spot, you sign a main tank, cool. But they need, and I think teams are looking at this, is you're having home games. Year 3 is about the time where you should start making a little bit of a profit, and you need to sign a face, and Chipsa is
A face.
a face. And, you know, like, they were selling these, like, fish and chips shirts for Carpe and Chipsa.
Mm.
And they extended the sale through Monday, presumably because the shirts were selling
very
very well. And that makes sense. You sign this well-known streamer to just get this built-in fan base, and you just roll with it. Like, your team's already fine. If you sign this Doomfist specialist, cool, you have a Doomfist specialist, like, who also has a big fan base. Instead of signing, you know, somebody from contenders who has no fan base and is just an okay player that might do well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as we've talked about going into the 2020 season, it's getting more and more important for these teams to have this brand. So them signing him is a good call for having, like, now we have somebody, we can do all these kind of like brandy kind of interesting things already, and then it just eases them into getting more profit.
And also, there's the obvious thing that, yet again, I feel like a lot of people forget, is we're sitting here thinking like fucking Philadelphia Fusion was sitting there on Twitch watching Chipsa stream and was like, damn, he's good, let's sign him. No, like, that's not how this went. Like, Chipsa has a relative that's on the coaching staff, and I guarantee that was a part of it, of, hey, like, you have somebody in the organization that can vouch for you. That's important. Like, that's how things work. That's how you get jobs. You have people in the organization to vouch for you. You bring him in to scrim, to kind of meet the team, to feel the culture, and clearly Chipsa fits in.
Yes.
Clearly he worked well with the team enough where they're like, yeah, let's sign him. He's a plus asset to what our vision of the Philadelphia Fusion is.
Exactly.
And so I think it's stupid that I feel like a lot of this conversation is acting like they signed Chipsa just off Twitch without like any working him in, without any real consideration. No, like, I guarantee Philadelphia Fusion did a lot of thought and care and been like, like, should we sign him? Should we pick up another tank? Clearly, they've weighed all the options that fans have weighed. I don't think this organization is a bad organization. They haven't really given us evidence to prove that they're Florida Mayhem.
Right.
Or the LA Valiant. They've proven to be a successful organization and have managed their team pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I trust them. Like,
right.
I have no reason to think that this is a stupid move. And I don't really buy the meritocracy argument because... Sorry, this shit ain't a meritocracy. Like, it's just not. If it was a meritocracy, certain players in this league would not have gotten opportunities.
Yeah.
Because, I guarantee Zephyr knew somebody.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zephyr. But, I guarantee there are players in this league that
knew someone,
yeah. And so that's your ticket in. Even if they're top-level players, you know somebody.
Yeah. How many times have we heard, like, Zoe and Bren and them say, like, oh, yeah, we've played with some of them before. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You get vouched for. And that's important. And I guarantee Chipsa,
got that.
He knew people in that organization. They're like, yo, he's a dope dude. He's a great player. Mm-hmm. He fits with what we want. Let's sign him.
Yeah.
But I do understand the complaints. I just don't care for them.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
I think signing him, it's not on Philly to sign these unsigned players.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm... like, this isn't a CM Punk signing with the UFC type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't that. This isn't, fucking CM Punk with zero experience in any combat sport. Like, he's clearly a very good player. And, it's like Brock Lesnar signing with the UFC.
Yeah.
He's a good amateur.
It's just a thing.
Not to mention, just like Brock Lesnar can smash your skull with his thighs, Shanghai can smash any other Chinese team. Swear to God.
Brock Lesnar has, like, really tiny legs.
Yes, I know.
He's like a
That's
chicken.
the meme.
He got chicken legs, man.
He does.
Look,
not
what
want
I'm
to
saying
play
is Shanghai really that good?
Well...
They did beat all the other Chinese teams, yes, I understand.
Yeah. With Fleta.
But...
I think we haven't heard enough. Now, don't get me wrong, Chengdu I don't think is going to get any better. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think Chengdu...
I mean, Chengdu got leave, and in the ESM Invitational, leave was playing out of his mind. Like, him and Jinmu is way better than Jinmu and insert player here. Better than Jinmu and anybody else you put next to him. Like, Leave is a genuinely great player, and I wasn't necessarily familiar with him, but what he showed over the weekend was something you watch and you're like, oh, this is going to translate very well to consistent Overwatch League success. Mm-hmm. And Chengdu still has their identity. They were still running Genji Tracer, Wrecking Ball, Diva. Like, they're still running
their thing,
the Chengdu comps, but instead you had Jinmu, who, out of all the DPS in the league, Jinmu on a good day is right up there with Sinatra.
Yes.
He's right up there with he's right up there with everyone. And Leave looked like he on a good day could be right up there with those players.
Yeah.
And that's why Chengdu ended up in the finals, just because Leave was a demon and Jinmu was also another demon,
And I
it
think
works out.
With getting Leave, they're very balanced right now. They have plenty of tanks, plenty of support, plenty of DPS. They have plenty of mix in, mix out players. So they'll be able to give people like Aming a break and people like Bacon Jack a break, where it's like they've been playing like 4 games in a row now. We gotta travel. The away game, let's throw in Leave, or let's throw in Jinmu or something
See, I don't
like.
see Leave being a throw-in. I think Leave is going
Well,
to be...
no, I'm saying, but like
Bacon Jack will be the relief for...
Yeah,
a dude
but I'm
like
saying
Leave.
like the same concept where it's like, oh, well, this person's played these many games. Let's let them have a break. Throw in Bacon Jack while we're at this really simple away game or something where they're against like Florida. Ooh, always Florida. They've got new people though.
Yeah. That's the Florida move, though. Just bring in a new roster.
Well, yeah.
But, Chengdu looked good, and I think Chengdu's DPS skill is going to take them over the edge, and Chengdu's never been bad. Like,
No.
they are the most middle team of all the teams.
The average boys.
Yeah, like, they're just a perfect, like, middle-of-the-road team, and I think that they're going to stay that way because, a Ming sometimes has a shitty game. However... Shanghai, on the other hand, won the damn thing, dominantly, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
And, holy shit, Shanghai looks like the best
beast.
Chinese team.
Exactly, they're the best Chinese team.
Yeah, Fleta looks like he leveled up, and, like, that's insane. Like,
That's
Fleta,
insane, yes.
Fleta looked like he leveled up. I thought Ding looked very good. And then this dude Lip, who, yet again, I had no idea who the fuck this dude is.
Mm-hmm.
But I watch, and he is looking like, goddamn Fleta 2.0 out there. Looking like an all-star. And he was the highlight of the entire, like, series of games was Lip. Because, one, he's a dude that I didn't know, and I guarantee a lot of just casual Overwatch League fans weren't necessarily familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and is hitting insane shots, making big plays, contributing to his team, just dominating. And then you have other players on the team, like Izayaki looks like a very strong part of the group. Their tanks look very good. I think Shanghai...
They've seemed to meld
good.
really well together now.
Yeah, and having Fleta is just, so important because he can do everything, and Ding is learning how to do everything, but Fleta is already kind of at that level, so when you have Fleta and whoever, or Ding and Ding and Lip, or Lip,
Yes.
all this DPS is just overwhelming.
Yeah, I think Shanghai has always been good at just making everybody work really well together really quickly and then putting out the best results. Even when they were having their huge bad games, like, they put forward some really solid results.
Yeah, Shanghai has always been good. Like, since Season 2 started.
Shanghai has always been good.
Yeah, let's not get...
Since they became good.
Yeah, let's not get, like, super crazy.
Well,
but...
that's what I'm saying. When they finally got the working pieces, they started pushing through a lot better.
Yeah, and then also, obviously, you have Void, you have Stand-1, who looked very good. Ryujehong from Runaway, you lose Coma, but then you get Ryujehong, who looked very, very good. And then Izayaki showed up. Like, the entire team showed up in a way that you look at Shanghai and think, like, they are the number one squad coming out of China. And I want to save the Spark for the end, because, Anyway, so Guangzhou, you have Eileen, Happy, Nero, obviously. Like, really, the team hasn't changed, which I think is good. But you do pick up Neptuno, who's a solid player. And really, the biggest issue with Guangzhou, I think, they looked good over the weekend, but yet again, they didn't look incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think losing Hotba is a big deal that people aren't thinking is a big deal. Like, I see, like, there are a lot of these takes that are very, like, oh, The Phantom Menace is actually one of the best Star Wars movies. Like, it's that kind of take where people are suddenly starting to be like, oh, Hotba wasn't really that good, or Hotba isn't really, like, a top-level player, which, no, like, Hotba is one of fucking top 10 off-tanks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hotba is, like,
He's
fucking...
a solid tank.
I think Hotba is, like, 1D to Choi Hyobin. Like, I genuinely love Hotba's playing, and I think Hotba was the reason why the Charge worked last season.
Mm-hmm.
It was him, and then Shu, and then Nero, Eileen, Happy, all that. But I think Hotba was the Choi Hyobin of that team. And losing him is losing a gigantic safety net.
Yeah.
Because Hotba was just consistently good every game.
Yes.
And so, you lose your most consistent player, and you're going to suck a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to suffer.
And it is a gaping hole in the off-tank because you're replacing a great player with somebody else. So I think next season, that's another thing to look out for is, one, how do you even adapt to losing a player like Hotba? And will they even be able to fill that hole? Or will losing Hotba dig them into a hole that they won't be able to get out of?
Yeah.
Yet again, losing Hotba is the worst move.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst move of the
It's a pretty
offseason.
bad move.
It's pretty bad.
Like, you couldn't even get Jehong for losing Hotba. Like,
Yeah, like
George.
I honestly, that was my worst move. Like I can't think of another. There's no other choice that's that bad.
yeah,
Like,
and you don't replace him with anybody that I think would be like, that's a
yeah,
great
that's a good.
You
That's
get
a-
Meko, like,
that's
that's
a
such a
good
great
Oh
pick.
player.
man, look at that Meko for Hotba.
Yeah, like, no, you
Solid
perfect.
pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a big issue. And then the Spark, which
Is
did
just
nothing.
running back.
They got shat on, and I think they're gonna get left behind because they didn't do anything.
Oh, for sure.
Bazzi looked like shit all weekend. His Doomfist looked bad.
They weren't-
Goushway is fine. IDK is good. Otara is fine. Like, the Spark needed to upgrade at some position. Shanghai gets Flutta. You get Lip. Suddenly you're looking like gods on the DPS line. The Charge have just better players. You have Happy, you have Shu, you have Eileen still. Your players are just better, so cool.
They have chemistry already.
Yeah. You got Chengdu, who picks up Leave, who everybody's been hyped for and looked incredible. And also Chengdu just has the scrappiness factor of...
Chengdu has the Chengdu factor.
Yeah, like that. It's their own thing. And then the Spark are running it back.
Yeah.
That's a weird choice.
The Spark haven't changed at all. All their players are literally the same players from last season.
Yes.
I mean, Nos might went to Paris, so good
Yeah,
for
cool.
him.
You lose a player. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's so dumb. There's an arms race, and everybody's kind of piling up assets and shit, getting ready to take on the Shock next season. Getting ready to take on Vancouver next season, and every team has gotten, I think, demonstrably better. I mean, when we talk later about the off-season moves, I think a lot of teams have gotten better. And the Spark just run their team back, which wasn't even like incredible to begin with.
It's
They're
an
not the
arms race in your France.
Yeah, they're not the Shock. Like,
By
you
the
can't just
end
run
of-
the shit back.
By the end of the second quarter, cannot think of what they're actually called. The second quarter, Spark had started going down. Doesn't matter how good they looked in the third stage. Third stage. It just was, you could see the inconsistencies come in, and it all happened after the whole, Crystal fiasco.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the teams that you think are like, oh damn, they're gonna be good. Like, Chengdu didn't change much, but you make an addition. You get Leave.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he's good. You had him last year, essentially, but, he's actually playing now. And then you look at the other teams that just twiddled their thumbs. The Shock. Cool. The champion.
It's the Shock.
Vancouver. Cool.
It's Vancouver.
You make moves. The only other teams that didn't do shit was Dallas, who isn't even an Overwatch team. And New York, who is the winningest team in Overwatch. Like, so
Right.
basically the two best teams and a team that doesn't exist
Yeah.
are the only teams that didn't do anything. And you're far closer to Dallas than you are to San Francisco and New York. So why not make just a move? Crystal's gone. Maybe I can replace Crystal. 'Cause-
Yeah, they could have done something. It's just, they were like, we have everything we need now, and just let it slide.
Yeah, and so
and it's getting so late that it's like, we'll be lucky if they even announce that they're taking somebody in.
yeah,
like-
and your team wasn't that good to begin with. So I think the Spark are getting left behind in the grand scheme of things. Unless, they do make a move, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna make moves. They don't have the moves.
They don't have the moves. They're not gonna get this bread.
They're not. So, unfortunately, for our Chinese brethren, rest in peace.
Rip.
They still have the best color palette though in all of the Overwatch League,
Yeah, man. But this.
with a close second to Houston Outlaws.
But my Spark dick riding is aging very poorly.
Yeah,
I was gonna put in the clip there.
It's painful.
Yeah, it's not aging well.
Since we're talking about moves, I think the only other team that's kind of slow on the draw is Washington. They kind of seem to be picking up scraps, and they haven't really announced. There's more people that they have let go or are free agents than there is
Confirmed
team.
signings.
There's plenty of people still on the team. We still have Corey, Stratus, Arc, Lullish is on there from Team Envy. Ali Vote from Team Envy. They got Roar from the LA Gladiators. Aim God from Boston Uprising, which I think is good, but also from seeing him last year, it's like you could have done better with the pick.
He's a remarkably okay player.
Yeah, and it's so like Washington Justice to be
To get a remarkably okay.
Yeah, just be like, Aim God, perfect. I don't know a bunch about Tuba with 2 T's, but
I mean, there was no hype on Twitter when he
Yeah.
was signed, so I feel like that's all you need to know.
yeah, but then all the people that still haven't been talked about from last year, like Giannis,
He's retired.
he's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Adu, we don't know what Ghetto is doing, or Sleepy. These are all supports, and right now all they got on their team officially is Arc as their support, and that's not good. Again, going into the 2020 season where you're going to have to be going in between all these different places, and if we think, is Washington in with the Florida section of the circuit, or are they with the New York section of the
Pretty
Atlantic?
sure Washington
Florida.
is south. Yeah, they're
with
Florida.
with the Florida, and seeing what's coming in with those teams down south in their matching circuit, it's kind of well, here goes Washington Justice again. How long can Corey and Stratus just pull up their pants and drag them along?
It's gonna be down there. It's just gonna be the slugfest of Atlanta versus Washington. That's all it's gonna be. That's the problem, is that they'll look good, but they'll be going against really shit tier teams.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to, I think, just not getting super weird.
Yeah.
I think Washington, they ended the stage looking really good.
Yeah.
So I think, why bother? But yet again, I mean, I've said it is cool. You looked really good, but that wasn't going to last.
Yeah. Are you gonna maintain that?
Yeah, that was Corey playing out of his mind, and he's still playing out of his mind. World Cup, he was a monster, but
It's something
at a certain point, it's not. It's only going to take you so far.
Yeah, you can't keep relying on Corey being crazy and Corey always being in when the season is 1, longer, and 2, more taxing on the body.
Yeah, but South Atlantic, the Reign, top team in that division, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Florida, Houston, Washington, and Philly. Philly got better. Houston got better.
Houston has some new good players on their team, too.
Florida has Korean Corey and Saya player. So, cool, that matchup's a wash. And then Atlanta has, 10,000 DPS. And then a bunch of other really good players. So, I think Washington is in a super tough division. And I don't know how well they're going to perform
when they look like that.
Yeah, in the grand sense, just because Corey's not super special. Atlanta has Erster and Edison. Then Florida has an aimbot. Philly has Carpe. And I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't think that Washington necessarily looks monstrous. I think, Houston is weak at the DPS spot in terms of, like, the grand scheme of, aimbot level snipers. Mm-hmm. But Houston is just all around a good team. Like, Houston's going to give you a tough fight. So Washington isn't just going to, steamroll everybody. Mm-hmm. There's only so far Corey's going to take you. But Washington just kind of sat on their hands.
Yeah, they really did. They picked up some scraps and then went on. Is it the worst moves of the offseason, or would you say someone else had the worst moves of the offseason?
I mean, I would say Hangzhou Spark, but they didn't even have moves.
That is true.
So they don't really count as a thing.
Can I say the best move of the offseason? I think is Toronto Defiant, going with the Canadians and all that, taking Nevix from the Shock and all those other good old boys from Canada.
Yeah, other than Toronto being overrated as fuck, I agree.
Yeah.
Other than the being.
Yeah, I mean,
people gotta calm down with Toronto. Like,
they got a lot of hype really fast because they were like one of the first teams to be like, we're getting all these boys, and then you're like, oh, they mean business.
Yeah, people gotta like jump off Toronto's dick real quick. You got Surefour, you got Nevix, you get Kareev. That's dope. Like, I'm totally cool with that. Agility is yet again a good player. Kellex, good support. Mangachu, Logix, Rocky, Neko. Like, it's a good team. However, they're super DPS heavy.
Yeah.
And fucking, I mean, cool. Cool. You have a good team, but
will it stack up?
Yeah. Do they, as a whole unit, stack up against the top level teams? Because people are having Toronto as like top 10, which if they're top 10, they're closer to 10 than they are to 1. So Toronto is just another team that I think like people are overrating as fuck.
Correct.
And kind of need to like calm down a little bit about. Mm-hmm. So the best move, or I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about this, but Houston Outlaws look very
stealing
good.
the steez.
But Houston Outlaws are
amazing.
Very good. You get hydration, which I think is
hydrate or dihydrate. That's
like ridiculously underrated pickup that people aren't like gushing over. You get Meko.
Hello, Meko.
Very good off tank from New York. I think that's quality. You get Repel, who in his limited playtime with Vancouver held his own, as a backup to Twilight, which is huge. You get Blase, who might be, people are saying he's a redundant pickup when you have like, I see people like, oh, you already have Jake.
Okay, here's the thing. We talked about this earlier with the redundant stuff. There is nothing wrong with picking up good players.
Also, like, who the fuck is sitting here thinking like, oh yeah, Jake and Dante right up there with Saya player, Corey, Erster, and Edison? Nobody is saying that.
Nah, exactly. There's no point in not getting a player. If you have the option to get a good player, get a good player.
Like, Linkser is not going to lead you to the promised land because dude is... Linkser you can't rely on him.
Linkser can't outplay Corey's sniper.
He got an F on the Surefour test.
Nah.
He's not hitting that shot.
He isn't.
So, those are super great pickups. I think all their off-season pickups have been quality and worthwhile, and I think hydration is going to be the most important. But then also you get Coach Harsha from Vancouver, who was Vancouver's head coach. Obvious reasons why that's a big deal. And he was also a part of the San Francisco Shock in Season 1. So Homie has been a part of...
Right.
Two of the best teams of all time.
Two of the best organizations. He has ridiculous respect. He was coaching Vancouver to just sheer dominance last season.
Mm-hmm.
Indubitably.
Yes. And so getting him as a coach over Tyrong, who wasn't necessarily like the greatest coach. Like, it's not like Houston has ever had A+ level coaching.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you're bringing in an A+ level coach, and there's not many of those. So add that to their already huge talent level. Add that to Jake's leadership and Dante's, like, magicicism.
Magicicism.
On Sombra and Tracer. I think that Houston is going to be
A force to be reckoned with.
the best
Yes.
Texas team, 100%, and also, one of the top teams in the Atlantic South.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, definitely. I do think I want to pose a question to the panel here. So SF Shock has
The
been
council will judge your fate.
the SF Shock has been practicing in Korea. Do you think them practicing with high-level Korean players and in that environment is going to help them when they come back to San Francisco and have to play against Vancouver and LA and I think Dallas is in our circuit? Or do you think it's going to hinder them because they're not actually playing around like this environment?
Look, man.
Bro, what is this? Like the NFL where you
This
have
ain't
to,
the NFL.
you have to like play in snow in order to like know what snow's like?
Yes. No. I'm just saying,
Look,
do you
man,
think them going over
you
there...
just listed a bunch of teams the Shock has shat on multiple times.
No, I'm just saying...
And then also on top of that told me they did additional training in Korea. The
Had a
like
nice
Overwatch
vacation.
capital of the world.
Yeah, you have a vacation, go to Korea.
Damn
play
near
some
the
games.
video game capital of the world competitively. Like, fuck out. They're coming back upgraded. Like, they left in their, season 1 outfits. They came back in that shonen outfit, got a little bit of, like, black on them,
Sinatra has bought another Louis Vuitton.
Like, they got, yeah, exactly. They've upgraded their outfits and everything. There's been a time skip. They're anime as fuck right now about to wreck some shit.
If we really do want to like play up this narrative, it's getting to their heads. You see Sinatra shopping all the time. You see Super
Eating
he's-
food.
Yeah, like he's feeling himself a little bit too much.
The
Like,
only person I've seen on a computer has been Moth.
Exactly. This team has given up on Overwatch and they've let fame get to their heads. This is
Okay.
a team of Odell Beckham Juniors.
Violet forgot his jacket.
Yeah, they don't know where they came from.
Look, but here's the thing.
Justice to Dak and Nomi. They never got the
The
chance
Titans
to-
have been training hard.
Dakonomi walked
They're
so
gonna
that the
come
rest
back-
of Shock could run.
Vancouver is Jiren, okay? But Moth has been training, and he's about to remind Goku to use that fucking Ultra Instinct. They were at Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. They're about to come back with Ultra Instinct. That's what's about to happen.
Honestly, the Shockers just gonna kill everybody.
Yes, they
Yeah,
really
it's gonna
fucking
be
are.
bad.
Like, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not gonna say that because by the time season 2 comes around, I
Season
don't.
3.
Yeah, season 3. I don't think Doomfist is going to be like the be all end all, and yet again, I mean,
We've heard rumors that the meta is switching back to like Zarya. So
yeah, like.
That's still
However,
Sinatra
then
shit.
see
Yum,
that's
yum.
the interesting thing
yum yum.
is you have if it's Zarya, Ryan, and then the gaggle of other people. Cool. So now you're back to Sinatra Super.
Yeah, exactly.
As your tank line, and then you just get to dick around with Rascal. Like, you're basically running your GOATS lineup just in 2-2-2.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just showing, like, oh, here's, like, you're basically just styling on everybody.
Like, they're really about to roll up and be like, oh, this is the meta? Unfortunately, I have to kill you, but I will honor you with 40% of my power. Like, fuck.
Yeah, Sinatra getting to play Zarya again would actually be pretty cool. Because, then you get Super Sinatra. And then your DPS can just be this rotating wheel of Striker, Architect, Rascal.
It's
It's
disgusting.
It's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
It's violent, it's brutal, it's rated X.
Yeah, it's unfair. And then one more other, like, oh wow, they made a great move. Soul Dynasty, because Profit. Like, I'm sorry.
Profit
like,
is a good choice.
Soul Dynasty played some show
We
matches.
saved the best for last. We
Yeah.
always have to end on a high note, which is profit.
Yeah, Soul played some show
The
matches.
highest note.
And yeah, Soul looks good. You have Gesture. You have fucking Profit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, they are going to be an elite team. You have Profit, and everybody else just looks good. I think
Yes,
Fitz,
they do.
Fitz looked very good
Yeah.
in that show match. It's a show match, but he still looked very good. Illicit is a good substitute, and Gesture is just another quality player. So all in all, I'm just super happy with what Soul did. And it's just another thing is, mid-season are we going to be sitting here again being like, oh, damn, Seoul underperforming again.
Oh, yeah.
With a fucking,
It could always happen.
8-5 record. Not super impressive, but not awful.
It could always happen.
Yeah, like that could just happen.
You know what else could happen? Even in Season 2, an ad can happen.
Hey guys, this is Taylor. Just so you know, with the launch of Season 2, we'll be more active on our Twitch and in our Discord. Links in the description below. Remember, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Scrapyard Media.
And we're back. Don't you just love that kind of stuff?
I do.
I do.
It's a great product.
And if you want to make a website for that product, try Squarespace. Where you can.
And if you want to make a website for your competitive Raid Shadow Legends stream, don't forget to use Squarespace and use our discount code to get a free meal delivered to you by Blue Apron.
Clash of Clans. So Cal Esports has an Overwatch team.
Shenyun. If you're in the Bay Area, you know what's up. Okay, go on.
So Cal Esports has an Overwatch team. And I don't know if I ever mentioned
Shenyun was the perfect fucking transition for Cal Esports.
And if I can, I'm gonna write a piece of being like, what do you think of Shenyun? But yeah, they have a team. I started covering them, like their first game. I've been keeping up with them. And I think looking at Cal Esports and just how they've grown as a team and, just actually getting to see a team close up, and Taylor can attest to this, is actually getting to see a team close up kind of going through it is, obviously it's not like watching the Overwatch League and being able to be so close to it, but you really get a perspective on, how much of shit never goes as planned as a team. And sometimes when things go wrong, it's never simply because, oh, this team is bad. It's because there are 1,000 other factors that are contributing to what's happening right now. And getting to see that close up exemplifies that. Because now, at the beginning of the season, Cal Esports was abhorrently bad.
Yeah, and it's interesting to be able to watch, because it's not like we really know the players of Cal Esports. It's like we know the players of the San Francisco Shock, but not like personally. But it's fun listening to a coach of a team talk through the struggles of that team.
Yeah.
It's nice to, actually hear coverage of what's going on with the team. Yeah,
and it's interesting because now Cal Esports is kind of clicking on all cylinders. They're winning ever since they got destroyed by like UCI. I feel like the team leveled up and they made a really good show of themselves at the end of the Varsity Invitational. They didn't end up winning, but they almost made it to the round of 16. They had a reverse sweep, which they would have never been able to do at the beginning of the year.
As we know, reverse sweeps are very rare, and when they happen, it's talked about.
Yes, and when it happens, it's Boston.
Yeah.
But since the Varsity Invitational, which I think concluded in October, somewhere around there, they've been on to, I have to confirm with the coach, but every single time I text him, he's like, we won our games this weekend. So they're on a win streak. They're dominating teams 2-0. They're having very little trouble. And I just talked to the coach, and he was telling me the team is practicing a lot more. They put in a lot of work during Thanksgiving break. They're duoing more in ladder, and it seems like the team is really coming together, and it's showing itself within wins. And it's just another thing which is an underrated aspect is, I remember during an interview, I told him, I think it was the interview we had when I was with Taylor and we were reviewing his scrims, and I was telling him, I was like, oh, once your team gets a taste of winning, it's going to be contagious and they're going to want it more. And that's when the team is going to really start clicking. They just need to get that feeling of win, because they were on a 6-game losing streak at that point.
Yes.
And it was looking bad, and you could tell the team was just like, they need that first win.
It's like anyone who's never been involved with anything and going into a sport or an activity and being like, oh, this is competitive, but they don't understand that until they see the the immenseness of it, like going to a competition or going to an event where you're like, oh, this is how we're supposed to act at an event. They should be, we should be more attuned to practice, more focused. I want to play football, but I can't because my sports are my schoolwork is bad, and that happens through middle school all the way through college. If you don't have the correct academics, you can't play the sport no matter how good you are at the sport. So I think there's certain teams and certain things where it's like they won't understand until they get either a taste of true winning or a taste of true competition.
Yeah, and then they picked up, a couple wins. And then you can see, like, oh, okay, you guys are kind of figuring things out. And then they go into the Varsity Invitational. They lose horribly to UCI, which is the most dominant one of the most dominant collegiate teams in the country.
I mean, they pick up people to just play Overwatch.
Yeah, and after that, you could tell things started kind of clicking, and they start putting together wins, and you just need that taste of winning, and that's kind of exemplifies why a winning culture is so important, because you look at teams like the Shock and the Vancouver Titans, they're going to have that kind of winning mentality with them forever. That's going to be something that this player's going to keep with them. But you look at other teams that struggled with getting that winning mentality, like Washington, where they just couldn't get a win. And
Shanghai.
Yes, and it hurt. But then, once they got that taste of winning, especially Washington, once they picked up that, first real good win, and you're like, oh, they're onto something.
Yes.
It started rolling.
Clicking.
Yeah, and they just started playing with just this reckless confidence of no one can stop us, and that's so important. And so looking at teams like Dallas, who at this point doesn't have a winning culture, that's super important, is to build just
that win.
LA too.
Just a structure. Yeah, LA.
Especially after the last season. LA was very dominant in the very first season of Overwatch League, but last year they struggled so hard, and with 68 days until the league starts back up again and we start being able to see matches again, I can see Valiant having this huge need for that confidence win, especially since they didn't win their quote unquote homestand.
Yeah, and LA's team this year is going to be so young and so inexperienced and so full of people that either have little Overwatch League experience or straight up no Overwatch League experience. So it's going to be interesting to see if that young team can develop a winning culture and develop something that they can build off of and catapult, because you see this a lot with young teams. I mean, they can go one of two ways. They can be the New York Knicks, which just suck, or they can move into this scrappy Sacramento Kings, Charlotte Hornets kind of vibe.
Young Guns kind of.
Yeah, where they're not winning the title, but any given day they're going to play you hard, and they have a mentality of wanting to win, and that's important. So I think it's interesting to see where the Valiant go from that. But just another thing is you look at Cal and that Overwatch team, I also feel like at a certain point you realize being the worst team for Cal Esports, like Overwatch was, but now they're not, that's a thing you carry, because Cal Esports right now is one of the most successful programs in California straight up, and one of the best teams in the entire country. Their StarCraft team is, I'm pretty sure they're number one. Their Hearthstone team is on a gigantic win streak, and they're top 5 in the country. Smash Brothers, they're winning tournaments. Counter-Strike, they're undefeated right now. You look at all their divisions, Magic, Arena, they're doing good. They're a good team in Magic Arena, League of Legends, championship pedigree,
etc., etc.
Yeah, all their teams are good as fuck. And so I guarantee Overwatch is looking at the Counter-Strike team practice. They're looking at StarCraft practice and oh, okay, that's what we need to do. And they start doing that, and that's yet again winning mentality, winning culture. Cal Esports built their backs off of StarCraft winning national championships. They built their back off the first Overwatch team they had win a national championship. And that's the type of legacy that you keep. And that's why this Shock are going to be always good, because they keep that championship pedigree.
And again, talking to the coach, and him working through struggles of like players on the team, where it's like him trying to really push the meta, and then him bringing it back and being like, well, what are you really good at, and what are you confident in pushing your own skill in? And I think that's also really benefited and like made the flower bloom and really put this better force on the table. Because there were early games where we would go to where it's like the main team is like struggling hard in the 2-2-2, and then like the B team is over here like, we're running May Torbjorn right now, let's do it, dudes. And they were having better communications, and I don't know, because we haven't been to a more recent one, but I would love to see how much more like
communicative
and like how much how less of one player's all the way across the room playing, there's 3 together right here, coach is over here.
Now they're more together, yeah.
And see if they sit even closer together, or if it's still just like...
And there is something to getting more comfortable with everybody and really figuring this out. But also...
And a majority of that team was freshmen. So
yeah, they're
it's
all
like...
freshmen. So they're still figuring out UC Berkeley. Like, you know, they're still trying to figure out how to be a student there. But there's another thing that's very important, is him wanting to let the players kind of dictate how these things go. And yet again, at the pro level, you kind of do have to be a slave to the meta. But there is something to
a collegiate level.
No, just even in the pro level, just trying something different. And that's what Chengdu does.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Shanghai did to such great success. Everybody was playing goats. They said, we're not a goats team. We're going to go triple DPS. And we're just going to run Youngjin, Ding, and DM out there and slaughter everybody.
And it worked.
And I think sometimes teams are just slaves to the meta and just running the same bullshit, but it doesn't work for their roster. Corey, for example. Corey can't play Zarya. So at a certain point, why are you just going to keep having Corey play fucking Zarya?
Yeah.
You know, try something new. That's what Chengdu did, and it worked out decently. You know,
That's
so
what
I think
Shanghai did?
yeah. So like, even in stage 1 and 2, Chengdu was going buck wild. So at a certain point, you're Washington, you're losing, you're getting dominated. Try something different.
Right.
Even if it's not meta, even if it's not optimal, maybe your player's just gonna play better and gives you a better chance. And I think that that's something that a lot of teams could learn from, and a lot of fucking humans can just learn from in general, is just playing to strengths instead of worrying about all these weaknesses. Like, play to the strengths that your team has. Look at your roster and be like, what do you guys do well? Like on Cal Esports, Wellnitz couldn't goddamn play Reaper.
For the
She didn't.
life of
She
her.
doesn't know how to play. She's not a Reaper player. She was learning Reaper first week, learning basic Reaper concepts because she is a Tracer player. And at a certain point, they're like, fine, we'll play you Tracer and we'll work around it. We'll try Tracer Genji. We'll try Tracer whatever. We'll try Tracer Reaper. And it didn't work out. But then at a certain point, suddenly it's like, okay, we got a little rhythm going with this Tracer thing going. You know, we're figuring out the tank line. We're figuring out supports. And it works.
Yeah.
I think you need to learn how to adapt. And the best teams adapt.
In other news, not to take Nathan's thunder.
Look, man, I understand this is an Overwatch League podcast, but every once in a while we're going to talk about, pop culture, some fun shit going on. The Mandalorian.
Hey guys, Taylor again. This is a spoiler warning for The Mandalorian. It starts at 1 hour and 8 minutes and is safe to pick back up at 1 hour and 20 minutes. So if you don't want to have any spoilers for The Mandalorian, please feel free to skip to 1 hour and 20 minutes. Thank you.
This show is eating my life.
Nathan looked like that seagull meme where it wrings its neck back and then screams just now.
First of all, okay. Referencing Seven Samurai, check. Giving them old school nostalgic, Star Wars vibes, check. Having, CG when it's utilized well, and utilizing mostly practical effects, check.
Whoa, before you go on. So, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, right? And so, I've only seen The New Hope a couple times. I've deadass only seen The New Hope, Empire Strikes Back a couple times. I'm much more familiar with, The Force Awakens, that type of thing. So, we're watching A New Hope on Disney Plus. $6.99 a month. It's a great streaming service. And
We're not sponsored.
please, Disney.
Dude, that'd be amazing.
Shout out to the House of Mouse. So we're watching, right? And this fucking scene comes on. No, there's two scenes. There's this fucking scene right after, like, they meet Han Solo and Han shoots first. Which, one, why do they keep changing the Han shoots first scene in every single re-release?
Yeah.
It's so... Stop fucking with it.
Can I break this down for you? Okay. Original scene, Han shoots first, Greedo never gets a shot off. First edit, Han, his head is digitally moved so that he dodges and then fires.
It looks
and
so
then,
bad.
Yes, and then every subsequent time it's been released, they have brought the shots closer and closer together until today we have McClunky.
It's just very...
It's very odd that they can't just...
Mind you, there is certain things where in the re-release from, like, 2011 that you're like, thank you for doing this. Such
like
as...
the DVD version. Yes, there's some good CG that they've added. They've fixed some stuff.
Such as Palpatine.
Yeah, that's a contentious one, but... I mean, really?
Some of the stuff in space, making it look more fluid and less like little puppets flying around.
Not even puppets. Like, half the time it's looking like a PS1, not even, era game.
It looks like the new Tesla truck.
It's fucking Star Fox up in this bitch.
And so we meet Han, and it's like, cool. Then you go outside, and there's this really awkward scene where he meets Jabba the Hutt. But Jabba is in, like, CG, and the rest of the movie is in 1970s movie, and it straight up looks like some shit that would have like been done in like my Adobe Premiere class I took last semester. Like, Han is talking to something that is clearly not there, and Jabba is just like plastered on the string. No effort to make him look like naturally a part of this world.
No.
He steps over a step ladder. No. They clip him.
They move him up.
And they just move him up as if he steps on... Why? Like, why would you do that? And then we get to fucking Empire Strikes Back, I think.
Yes.
And there's that...
No, Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Wait, shit.
No,
yeah, Return of the Jedi.
No.
And
yeah,
there's
Jabba's
that...
Palace.
There's that... You know what I'm talking... You all know what I'm talking
knows exactly
about.
what you're talking about.
And I'm watching it, and keep in mind...
You're outraged about this, like, 17 years later.
Yes, and I haven't... I don't watch these movies, so I'm watching, I'm like... What?
Chicka-cha-pie-leo.
And it's just like other little things where like you're watching it and it's like, why'd you need to put CG there? Why'd you need to put CG there? Why are you... And why...
You're fucked up.
And the messed up part is, you can't ever see the originals without torrenting it.
Yeah.
You're not putting that original shit back on Disney Plus. It's always going to have that stupid ass Han scene. It's always going to have that stupid Jabba's Palace scene. I don't... This is why I don't watch the prequels. Because the CG is painfully bad.
Yeah.
And so I watch and I'm like, this is garbage. And so the Mandalorian practical effects. Wonderful.
Very
we
nice.
do have to
Yes,
say that
very nice.
It's so bad.
Boba Fett's added scene in Jawa's palace.
Oh yeah, no, Boba Fett, all that additional love they give Boba Fett, I will give them credit for that. The one thing I'm saying is, give me more Cara Dune. She's so dope. She's such a good character. Baby Yoda needs his cool rebel mom. Good shot, by the way. Also, actually, let me say one thing. How many fucking times are they gonna pull the, ooh, Baby Yoda's about to get shot, here's a blaster shot just off screen, oh wait, they were shooting the person about to shoot Baby Yoda. Twice now. Twice.
Comedy
in
works
4
in
episodes.
Rules of threes. So the next time it happens, Baby Yoda's actually gonna get shot.
Wait, Baby Yoda has to die. He either has to die or he's in this next movie that's about to come out.
Dude, he's gonna get his own movie.
I do enjoy the fact that it comes off very, like, Jon Favreau was like, why did I never get my Boba Fett video game? Here, let me make the Boba Fett video game with this whole new character.
Like, it is honestly, the best part about it is it's that, like, it's in the universe you love of Star Wars, but it's, it's a solo character. It's, like, not
solo character?
Shut up. It's, it's boots on the ground. It's just random soldier point of view, living his life. And he happens to be thrust into this way bigger deal. And I mean, he's a Mandalorian, which have been, like, extremely important to galactic history and lore, but that's just because everyone liked Boba Fett, so...
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting. It's also interesting how they've decided to develop the culture, and it's also hilarious to see all of the angry incels on the internet because he fought a girl and didn't fucking destroy her because men.
Ooh.
Also, I don't know. Like, I like Star Wars is fine, but I'm a Star Trek fan, so I like a little bit more like grounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Type universe, and like the grand like Jedi is fighting Jedi, like that shit's cool. I'm watching Clone Wars right now, and I am loving the lightsaber shit. However, I do like just like the more low to the ground, just people doing things in the galactic world of the Mandalorian. Like I enjoy that. That's why I was like super sad that one Star Wars game was canceled, because that was going to be, just some pilots doing some pilot things, just going about their business in the grand Jedi versus whatever universe. It's more low to the ground. That's why Rogue One is pretty cool, because it's just a cool story set in this grand universe.
I think what helps is something, as you said, it's low to the ground, it's in the universe, but it's not the Force centered. It's not the light and the dark and the gray.
Yeah, people hit shots.
And there's that, and then there's when he goes to the different world, like when he gets Baby Yoda, meeting that farmer character and him just being like this wise old man where it's like, you help me, I help you, and that's very, very Earth, very like we'll get through each other. And then him on the bandit outpost and him doing just how everything moves and flows there, and then going to the newest episode and the shrimp people, and just how they're showing so much open-hearted and kindness, and even the edgier characters as Cara Dune or as the bandits holding Baby Yoda show there's this gentleness to the world. And yes, Yoda as a species, Yoda's species is more sensitive, but it's like after him helping kill that one thing, it hasn't been like a big deal. Yeah,
it's like obviously a thing, but the Mandalorian doesn't bring it up a lot. Like he doesn't.
His religion is guns, and we can accept that.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing is this is like just after the Empire has fallen, so like there's still like, oh well, Jedi and stuff, and we know from just lines in The Force Awakens that still people aren't really sure if the Force is like, or if like Jedi and stuff exist. They know the Force is there. Like a lot of people understand that the Force is there, and they're like, they get that, but they don't necessarily know, how true all of that is, or if it's all like legends. And it's interesting to see him go through that. It's also interesting to see a character that has like a very specific upbringing and like a set of circumstances that would, create feelings within that character actually be portrayed with those feelings. Like his thing where it's like, well, I need my weapons, or, I can't take off my helmet, I can't be happy here, and stuff like that. And his point of view coming into conflict with the world is a really interesting way to like view a character, unlike someone like Rey or Finn, where Finn was a stormtrooper. He should care about people who he grew up with being gunned down, but instead, like 3 seconds after he decides to switch sides, he's literally like, woohoo, I shot my friend. Like that
could have been an opportunity to explore.
Exactly. It's an opportunity to explore him, where it's like, oh well, how do I interact with the world around me based on the fact that, one, I don't like droids because droids killed my parents, and two, I don't like, other societies that aren't Mandalorian, or I feel like I need to be fighting.
Yeah, and Rey's the chosen one, which, chosen ones are fine. But Mandalorian's not a chosen one. He's just a dude. Yeah.
I think something that also is nice is, as we know, Mandalorians, their religion is war. Right. That's their whole thing. There's, when you watch like A New Hope, and you watch Return of the Jedi, where Yoda and Luke is training with each other, and Yoda has this very spiritual, like, this is the Jedi spirit cave. And then there's like, you hear about the Sith and like the prequels where it's like, this is the Sith spirit cave, and it has this religious air to it.
Exactly.
But with The Mandalorian, it also does, but it's like this little thing when he just went and got his armor where they sat and he waited for her to make his armor and his weapons and
you're getting culture of the world. You're getting exposition in a way that doesn't feel forced.
A religion that isn't centered around the Force.
Or the light and the dark, yeah.
And it's like, for once, it's just this very like, it's a nice release it's a nice fresh air to something where it's like, I'm so used to seeing politics and then Jedi's fighting and then droids and then clones and then whatever the hell's happening now in this new season.
What's that? One of the best things is you're getting to explore the galaxy's culture from a lens that you haven't gotten really before, because you're seeing everyone's beliefs in a way that is very organic. Mm-hmm. Like, even just the Crow people. It's really nice to see a culture in Star Wars where it's like, oh, they live on a planet far away from everyone, but they don't think like the AT-ST is a god. They're just, we understand what's going on. We understand what blasters are. Yeah. We just don't have them. We're poor. Like,
yeah. That was cool. And I don't know. It's 30 minutes. It's just
exactly.
It's a simple, easy watch. It's like new episode of Mandalorian. It's not like, oh damn, let me carve out an hour. It's like, yo, 30 minutes, boom, boom, I'm here. Cool story. I'm in, out.
The soundtrack rocks.
Yeah. Like, it's just a good ass 30-minute time. It's like a good ass SpongeBob episode. Like, just like something just good to watch. And, and also,
and I find myself wanting
even
to
the
go
filler episodes are good. Like, this last episode was filler, but it was some good filler, Like, I was totally fine with it.
I find myself wanting to go back and, like, binge all 4 episodes so far, even though it's like...
Well, that's, again, like, it's compelling. It's compelling because, one, it gives us, like, everything, because everyone either has, like, a pet, a sibling, or a kid that they're like, I care about this thing. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to it. That's the Mandalorian. He has a little baby dude who he wants to take care of because he cares about it for whatever reason, just, natural. And his views have to be brought into conflict with the world around him. Like, he's a bounty hunter. He should just get a bounty. But is that the right thing? Mm-hmm. His, and his upbringing challenges him, and it's very interesting. Unlike, again, like Finn or Rey, where it's like, oh, I was born on a desert planet, but I can swim.
What's her name had a...
Or fly a ship in space, which is much different than flying a ship.
The sister, the one that when Finn tries to go to help Rey, and she's like, you're not trying to leave, are you?
Oh, Rose, yeah.
Rose, thank you. She has a more interesting, like, I would love to see, like, the lead up, her and her sister as fighters.
Well, she was never a pilot. She's an engineer.
Yeah, but I'm saying I would love to have that, like, them working together and seeing them leading up, because she had a very interesting character.
Not to mention, like, talking about filler, even the filler feels like it's important.
Yeah, it's
because
like,
it's character.
Cool.
It's not filler. It's character development.
Yeah.
It's exposition about the character. Whereas, like, going to Canto Bite did nothing for the plot.
That's true.
At all.
Yeah.
Except for,
like, even that episode, you're like, oh, okay, he's like a cool dude.
Yeah, he's like...
before that, you're still kind of on edge, like... this dude is out here disintegrating people. And he's a bounty hunter. Like, he's still not necessarily, Yeah. But this episode was like, oh, okay, he's a cool dude. He's just kind of feeling some feelings right now. But, like, he's helpful. He wants to help people.
And, like, there was some selfishness to his action of helping those people. Mm-hmm. But by the end of it, he was helping them for the right reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means to an end type of thing.
Yeah. Because he considered staying, but he knew he couldn't because, one, it endangered the thing he cares about, and 2, it endangers them. Mm-hmm. So that's why he leaves. I don't know. It's just the small episode makes them have to do something that matters, unlike Canto Bite, which was a means to an end in a different way.
That's true.
Which, like, I love the message of that part of The Last Jedi. I hate shitting on The Last Jedi because I want to enjoy it, but they could have gone about things better.
Yo, so I never seen The Last Jedi. And
so you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say Count.
Nah, man. So I was watching this complete Star Wars timeline, and I didn't realize Kylo Ren was fucking Han Solo's kid. And so I'm watching, and it's like, oh, Luke starts this academy, and he trains this, young kid who ends up, blah blah blah, betraying him, and the kid, and then this kid's name is Ben Solo, who later takes on the name Kylo Ren, and I'm just like, hold up. Wait, what? And then, that changed everything, because, I've only seen The Force Awakens, so I'm like, Kylo Ren.
They bring that up.
In The Force Awakens, when he kills
His
Han
dad.
Solo.
But I saw it on release day. Like, you really think I'd remember that? The movie was like 8 years ago. It was long as fuck ago. But yeah, so I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, Ben Solo. Oh, cool. You know, because in my memory, I'm just like, oh, he kills Han. Just to kill Han? Like, you know, I don't connect the things like that. Yeah, so like, you know, my whole world changed and I was like, oh, Ben Solo, Ben Kenobi. It's all coming together for me, so, you know, stay tuned for my freezing cold Star Wars takes. When I watch Rise of Skywalker?
The Last Jedi and then Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, and then, you know, I'm like, wait, Luke... Can I say Luke died?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was like 8 years ago. Luke dies?! You know, I'm watching that movie and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, whoa, when did I see this? Like, he fought Kylo Ren, oh my god. Oh, I saw a spoiler warning.
Was it Frozen 2?
No, I was reading something, and it was a spoiler warning for Darth Vader being Luke's father. I was like, shut the fuck up, dude.
I get it if you're showing your kids, like, for the first time that...
I don't count, man. Like,
yeah.
who's out here looking for an article on why stormtroopers miss shots? Or like why, you know, they don't tell Luke that it's his dad already. And then it's like, spoiler alert for Star Wars, like... Really?
Spoiler alert for Empire Strikes Back, one of the most culturally significant...
It's like, what are we, in the 80s and we're all like leaving the movie theater? Did you know Darth Vader is his dad? Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what's one of my least favorite tropes in movies, where they're like, oh, well, it's the real world, so we can mention other pop culture things, when people are like, oh, I figured out Darth Vader was his dad because, like, in Polish, it's like Dark Father, and it's like, George Lucas didn't even fucking intend that, you pretentious shit. Fuck you.
Damn, Nathan went in.
I don't even remember what movie I just saw that in, but it's an annoying trope. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, if you've listened this far,
You've gotten this far into our rant.
hit us up and let us know what your favorite John Carpenter soundtrack is.
John Carpenter's score.
Same thing.
I'll be judging you harshly if you say
Halloween 2018.
Ooh.
Sorry. It's good.
It is a good
Didn't
one.
John Carpenter do the Star Wars? I'm kidding.
I just looked for a second. I was like, "Don't fall for the bait," but also I was like, "You said that on." I'm just gonna put at the beginning and ad of the podcast.
Mandalorian's good. Watch it.
Yeah,
Give
Mandalorian's
Disney your
pretty
money.
good. Or
It's
just
only $6.99. Baby Yoda.
You know, Mandalorian being so good makes me like really hopeful for Loki, WandaVision, What If, all those.
yeah.
Because now I'm like, oh, okay, so these aren't going to be like bad.
Yeah.
They're going to be
Nah,
actually
they're gonna
really
be
good.
Nah, I can see that.
Falcon Winter Soldier's going to be the dope. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Mandalorian gives me hope.
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
I feel like Mandalorian's gonna be like the best though out of all this, because I don't see like, I don't know, all those characters are too important to their respective
It's
universes.
okay. John Favreau has his fingers in all of it.
But I think like with the TV, because now that's a part of Disney Plus. Like, you know how like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't ever really a part of things, or like the Netflix.
Yeah, the Netflix ones were
homies
never really
were
like,
never
a
a part.
big thing.
Inhumans was never really a part of like the MCU, but I think they're planning the next phase, like
Understanding that this
Loki.
is gonna be going on.
Yeah, Loki, WandaVision. Those are like a part of their release window. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're doing this, and then Loki comes out, and then this, and then WandaVision, and then
Yeah.
the movie. So I think it's all actually like tied into one cohesive thing. So like, you know, like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like none of that shit mattered, because when Winter Soldier happened, they had to like wait a long time for Winter Soldier, and then Civil War happened, they had to like put a bunch of filler and do nothing consequential because you had to wait for Civil War. Now it's like you're on the same release window, so you don't have to worry about it, because WandaVision is going to be just as consequential as
Yeah, that's true.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. No, so the other thing I wanted to mention about Mandalorian is putting it out there now, either he is in, or like at least hinted at in some way, like referenced in Rise of Skywalker, like because supposedly like there's leaked images of like, oh, his ship and stuff. Like, I don't expect him to be like fucking principal cast, like important character.
What if he's a Skywalker?
He's the Skywalker that is rising. Like, I don't know. I doubt he'll be that important. It's either that, or that's Baby Yoda, and our boy, like, Din, which is his real name, Din Djarin. It hasn't been said in the show yet, but the actor revealed it. he going down like straight up John Marston, Arthur Morgan style. Like, I feel it coming.
Yeah.
I can see it going down like that.
Something.
I don't know. I can see this show going in a lot of different directions. That's the other thing, is it keeps you like, oh, what the fuck's going to happen next? Because every episode has an ending that isn't a cliffhanger, like, at all. Like, they've never had a cliffhanger ending. It just ends and you're like, okay, so what's he going to do next?
Yeah, that one cliffhanger, when they do a cliffhanger, it's going to fuck us up.
Oh, exactly. It'll be at like the end of the first season.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I love how they title it, like, if you go into the Disney Plus, each episode is titled Chapter, which does make it, like, make sense that it's kind of its own singular thing. But, like, if you look at it, it says Season 1, Episode 1, Chapter 1, or Season 2, Episode 2, Chapter 2. It's very funny to look at. If you want to send us your hot or cold Star Wars takes, do that on Twitter or Instagram at Scrapyard Media. You can find us on Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam at Scrapyard Media. And finally, don't forget, you can listen to us, especially where you're listening to us right now, and anywhere else you can listen to podcasts, maybe. This was an Overwatch League podcast that devolved thanks to one little green womp rat. See you next time on the Scrapyard.